Hello and welcome to Pepperdine Esports League of Legends versus the Colorado School of Mines, or Mines Esports. My name is Grace RamseyIsMey Ramsey, and this is my co-caster.
Kyle, Coddiwomple, Griffith, how you guys doing?
Hopefully very well. We are loading into a lobby now and getting ready to start on this game. But before we talk about any logistics, I want to make sure that for the record, we are following all CLOL guidance when it comes to this stream. We are going to be watching the game on a 3-minute spectator delay, we casters are, and then this stream is on a 2-minute delay. So if you see like something in the chat we're responding to a little bit late, it's because we're seeing that 2 minutes late and everything. So I just, we're at 5 minutes behind, so there's no hullabaloo with stream sniping and that sort of thing. So I just want to make sure that's all covered before we get into all of it.
It's all about the competitive integrity.
Yeah, gotta make sure that we're all good to go. And whoa, we are hopping in to draft already, moving real quick there.
So the name of the game for this draft is Where's the Teemo, right? The Mines Esports jungler is a one-trick Teemo main, and I am so excited.
Teemo jungle.
Teemo jungle main, yes, Teemo jungle. So I'm very excited to see if that comes through, if we're going to get to cast a Teemo game. Have not done that before. We do see the Talon going away right away. That's not surprising with Santo Massey's proficiency on that pick. And a Vladimir ban, also not surprising, a favorite of the Mines Esports top laner. I would expect either a Teemo ban or possibly a support ban thrown the way of Leona or Lulu. Those are two strong picks right now in the meta, but we shall see. Also could be a Malphite ban, the mid laner for Mines Esports. Really liking that grass Malphite in the main, but it is a Leona ban. Not too surprising.
Pepperdine historically has not liked playing into a Malphite, so it'll be interesting to see if that pick goes through.
And it is particularly good into Santo's Yasuo. It wants to stack armor, it has the ability to dodge and provide a lot of disruption, so we shall see. First pick here for Pepperdine, I would expect perhaps a Rakan. Evan seems very comfortable in that. It's an easy first pick. Oh no, it's going to be the triple flex Lucian.
Yeah, Pepperdine really enjoys the flexibility of being able to move that pick in between the various lanes. If you are someone who's a bit new to League of Legends, a 3-way flex is a character that you can play in 3 different positions on your team, regardless of what that role is meant to do. Lucian can go top lane, mid lane, or he can play in the AD carry bot lane role.
And there it is. We get the mid lane Malphite.
We'll have to see if that comes back to haunt Pepperdine because, in the past, if you think back last year to their games in the WCC against the University of the Pacific, they really, really struggled into that Malphite pick, and it wasn't until they prioritized banning the Malphite that they were able to get some success. So let's see if they've improved and learned how to play into this champion.
Unsurprising, Ezreal on the bot lane. It's a safe pick. It can lane fairly well into the Lucian. Lucian will have priority early with his level 2 power spike, but Ezreal can lane safely. It also gives the support the agency to roam, as it's hard to get on Ezreal and lock him down.
Very true.
Will we see early priority on Windhill's jungle like we did last series, or will they wait as they kind of have been? And there's the Rakan that we expected. Strong priority, very much a winning lane should that Rakan Lucian go bot lane.
Yeah, I wonder if we are going to see a Yasuo to go with this, or if they will end up putting Santo Massey on something like an Orianna again into the Malphite.
I would be surprised to see the Lucian go mid lane into the Malphite. Yes, he'll have the range advantage. Okay.
They're saving both jungle and potentially mid lane into...
Yeah. The Lucian will have priority into the Malphite if they choose to go with Lucian in the mid lane. It is a winning lane. Until the Malphite gets an armor item or two, and then it becomes very difficult for the Lucian.
And
there's your Teemo jungle.
Oh man,
it's a spicy one, folks.
Yeah, that'll be very, very interesting to say the least.
We have seen this Teemo jungle build in a number of different ways. We've seen on-hit Teemo when the occasion calls for it. We've seen tank AP Teemo jungle, where you build Liandry's Torment and then just go straight full tank. And we've also seen full AP Teemo jungle. So depending on how Mines Esports rounds out their comp, they may decide to itemize the Teemo in a different direction. Second ban phase here, I expect to see a Lulu ban from the side of Pepperdine, take comfort out of the hands of the Mines Esports support. A set ban, interesting. Just taking away some flexibility. That is a little surprising. And the last ban here on the side of Mines Esport. Let's see what it is. It's the Karthus, so
giving a lot of respect.
Yeah.
Of course, Karthus in this meta is a bit of a two-way flex pick. You can play him jungle or you can play him AP carry potentially, but that's not what Pepperdine's going to do, obviously, because they've locked in the Kaisa. But just an interesting little tidbit about that champion.
We do see the Lulu ban, unsurprising. So falling back here on support, I'm curious to know what they will go with. Perhaps a Morgana or a Janna, something to empower the, yep, and there's the Morgana, so just a safe lane. Black Shield, very good into Rakan W. Pepperdine's answer here. A Zack's not a terrible, they need some tank, they need somebody to go in with the Rakan, so a Zack would be a very good pick here for Windchill, although it takes him, it doesn't give him carry ability, and we have seen Windchill take over games when he's allowed to, so I'm curious. A Graves, okay.
Interesting.
This is a very squishy comp on the side of
Unless,
Pepperdine.
of course, they're going to actually have that Lucian play into the Malphite mid, and they're going to choose a tanky top laner here.
Could very well be the case. And
there we
that's
go.
what it is.
They're putting Scott on Ornn duty again. Relegated to the top lane island.
Now this Morgana can... Oh, and a GP coming out here.
Interesting.
So really saving that for last, making sure that Lucian not going into the top lane before they pick the GP, as Lucian is a very strong counter pick into the GP.
I mean, they could always have Ornn go mid.
It's a possibility, though I don't know that Santo plays it. He may play mid lane or
They could switch roles and have Scott go ahead and play mid this round, because we do know that Scott has played mid in the past. But I doubt that's what Pepperdine's going to do. It looks like they're giving Ornn to Scott and doing what you can expect, what would be typical. Right now, something I immediately notice is that Pepperdine is kind of like Kai'Sa's their main sort of AP damage source right now.
I would expect to see a Zanya's Hourglass and a Rageblade be the two primary items on the Kaisa. I don't think we'll see the Luden's Echo. Sometimes the AP Kaisa goes to Luden's Echo. That would surprise me. I imagine it'll be a Muramana into the Rageblade into the Zanyas. Here we go as we begin to load into game.
Yeah, we have to... What?
This is going to be very interesting from an itemization standpoint. We've got triple 80 carry comp on the side of Pepperdine. So they very strong siege potential, very good at knocking down objectives. They will take Barons and Dragons very, very quickly. However, they've shown that their priority and their setup around Dragons and around Barons and their vision isn't necessarily their strongest. So I think Evan Cakes is going to have a lot of agency this game, and the need for Pepperdine to win to set up good vision control so this triple 80 carry comp doesn't just get blown up by a Malphite just coming in and knocking all three of those 80 carries up. So very curious to see how that plays out. I'm also curious to see what Lucian's itemization is in the mid lane. I imagine an early... blanking on the item. An early armor penetration item for the Lucian just to get through some of that stacking on the side of Malphite. Perhaps even a black...
Black Cleaver?
A Black Cleaver, thank you. Items escaping me today. Just for that additional armor shred, because I imagine we will see quite a bit of armor stacked on the Malphite.
Yeah, I can imagine. It seems like Teemo won't have to play tank this game. To say the least. I imagine we're probably going to be seeing an AP Teemo here, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so. I doubt the Malphite's going to be going heavily AP, so I think the Teemo will be providing that AP damage. It will be very good into these squishy ADs who aren't going to have a ton of health. Those shrooms are going to chew through them.
Mm-hmm. You're going to see a lot of Merc treads this game, I can imagine.
Absolutely. And sweeper wards, I imagine, as well. Gotta get those sweepers to make sure the Teemo isn't just sitting in the bush.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Windchill uses Graves to get that early ward in on one of their buffs and then goes back for that Oracle Lens, because while Teemo will not be laying down those shrooms until he is level 6, it's still, always a good move for the jungler to have that utility item early. And we have seen Graves be able to easily do that sort of thing in the past. So that's what, I kind of expect from the early game here for Pepperdine. So perhaps even an invade, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Teemo, not the best level 1 champion. Does have some damage, but it's really those levels 2 and levels 3s where he's able to get the blind off and get his auto attack buff going that he really starts to be a nuisance. Again, not super familiar with Teemo jungle. This is my first time seeing it, but I am very curious to see how this plays out.
Yes, as someone who in my humble elo has played Teemo jungle, it is it's very, very hard. That early clear, it is a bit of a doozy, a bit hard. But once you get into it, especially because Teemo is a rather mobile champion, at least in terms of having that, passive that gives him so much movement speed, you can have a lot of map impact, which is why true. You tend to see things like Teemo jungle at lower elo, where map impact is really what is the major deciding force.
So interesting. We are seeing Dark Harvest on the side of Teemo. So really, even from level 1, itemizing into heavy AP damage for this Teemo, really looking to stack those Dark Harvest procs and become just a late game monster with shrooms, and I imagine a first item Leandries after his jungle item. On the other hand, the Morgana going Guardian, so really going very defensive to allow for the safety of this Ezreal. Runes looking pretty standard on the side of... Oh, we have a pause. We'll take this time to talk about the Summoner Spellbook in the top lane for Scott. I imagine this is to allow him to swap between Teleport and perhaps Ignite on the side of on the GP matchup, just to help with gang priority a little bit. It looks like the ADC for Colorado has had a crash while loading into the game, so just a short pause while we get time reconnected here. Does anything stand out to you at this early level there, Ramsey?
Well, I can see immediately that the Pepperdine team appears to be moving together, so I can imagine that our predictions about maybe pulling off a level 1 invade might be on the table. I did not see the early pings before the pause went through, because I was making sure settings were all in order, so that's what I can immediately sort of glean.
Yeah, the only ping I saw go down was on the side of Mines Esports, and it looks like they're pinging into the river on the bot side, so perhaps just going for a standard fan out, protect the blue buff, make sure that Teemo doesn't have any... and we're back in the game.
Into it.
It looks like you are correct, though. It looks like Pepperdine moving together.
Yeah.
And now fanning out.
Yeah, they're going to a traditional 5-point here, as is Colorado, as is Mines Esports. So it looks like they're giving a lot of respect here. The Ornn.
We do see the Ornn in the mid lane, so perhaps taking advantage of that Lucian VGP swapping Santa Massey up into the top lane.
I won't shift the scoreboard yet. We'll wait to see. I mean, I'm pretty ready to call it. I think that Scott's going to be playing Ornn in the mid lane.
You know, Ornn is a fantastic assassin, tank, jungler, main. He can kind of just do it all. So it's not that surprising. He, plays in fine into the Malphite in the top lane, gets poked out a little bit early, but does scale very well. So yeah, I'm excited to see this adaptation, and looks like a late invade on the side of Pepperdine. They will find the Morgana, lands a binding and walks away.
Pop the bone plating there. Gets a little bit of poke, but the GP looks like he doesn't want to deal with it. It's really interesting because it seems like the Mines has done a switch here as well. I think they saw the Ornn in the mid lane and decided that they were going to do a little shenanigans of their own.
Yeah, we've got double lane swap coming in, try to get that Malphite, or sorry, the JP into a good matchup. That's just how oppressive the Lucian is into the GP. It's worth making that swap.
I wonder if on first backs, Pepperdine will try to switch yet again. And we can see here, we see the enemy Teemo is trying to get this blue buff because he knows that the Graves is going after his.
Looks like we're gonna have a standard splitting of the map. Graves will take the bot side, jungle on both sides, and the Teemo will take the top side. Lucian relatively safe in the top lane there with his ability to dash out. Hard to gank, though he will be pushing into this Malphite heavily, so he will be somewhat exposed and need to be careful with his vision.
Yeah, we can see the Graves is going ahead and taking pretty much all of Teemo's top side, or bottom side jungle, I should say.
As expected, the GP pushing in here with the priority. Pepperdine does have 2 winning lanes, but in the mid lane, the top lane shifted to the mid lane will be pushing in, and we see a gank coming through in the top lane.
Yeah, we see the Teemo going after. It doesn't look like he's going to get anything too crazy out of it. But we also see there's potentially some shenanigans going on here in the mid lane, but no, the Graves is not going to come through and complete that gank. It looked like he was thinking about it there for a second.
Yeah, not a whole lot happening on the gank in the top lane, just kind of alleviating some pressure for the Malphite, you know, so we can farm a little bit more safely, and it forces the Lucian back perhaps a little bit earlier. Relatively calm early game here. Good binding from the Morgana.
Just a little bit
Bobby
of a
Joe
tickle
takes
there.
a
That
pretty big
half
chunk,
health, tickle. But you do see the Graves is coming down here in this river. Looks
Yeah,
like
I don't know that he
considering-
can get much with the wave on the other side of the lane.
Yeah, he was thinking about it.
Yeah, just a pretty calm early game here from both sides. I imagine we won't see much until that first dragon comes up. I think that'll be where we see our first little skirmish. Now you will notice that Santo did bring TP, so perhaps really from the get-go in draft, Pepperdine was planning on this swap, and he will be able to match the GP. Oh, here we go in the jungle. Teemo forced to flash and get away from the Graves, but does secure the Gromp. So Summoner burned on the side of Mines Esports.
The Graves attacks again.
Just trying to waste time on the side of this Teemo. Make sure he gets no
Gangplank
camps.
rotates in, drops a ward. Looks like Windchill is going to steal yet another one of Teemo's camps, though Teemo is not crazy behind in CS by comparison with all this invading that's going on.
Yeah, still down 10 CS at 5 minutes. A good lead for Evan Chill. Or excuse me, Windchill.
Combining multiple summoners into one person there.
Hey, yes sir. Graves has started up the dragon.
I wonder if we'll see a rotation from bot lane to support him here. It looks like we are seeing maybe Evan Cakes come up to help Windchill out.
I think this is just to make sure the Teemo doesn't pop up and surprise him. Though Teemo is on the top side of the map, so no need to worry. This dragon will go over to the side of Pepperdine. And a good early advantage gained by Pepperdine on account of forcing the Teemo out of his bot side jungle.
Yeah, and you are already seeing, like we saw this past weekend with with Montana State, Pepperdine is really prioritizing that early game more so than they did with UCLA. So you can tell they learned their lesson, and they're trying to make sure that they get ahead.
Yeah, continued adaptation from the side of Pepperdine. Really great to see.
I would hazard to say it's not the hardest thing to do with a Teemo jungle, but ooh, Evan Cake's got a little caught out there, but he'll make it away safely.
Yeah, that Rakan's mobility, very good for Evan to get out from under that turret. And we did see 2 tower plates going down on the side of the bot lane, so really punishing this passive early game from from Colorado.
It is interesting to notice that this Lucian has fallen a bit behind in CS versus the Malphite, which is not what you want to see early in the game in this matchup.
Very true. The Teemo being top lane a number of times, trying to apply pressure and not let this Lucian snowball in the Malphite.
The Grave steals the red buff.
We see Malphite TP into the top lane, so summer advantage for Pepperdine in that top side, and the orange swaps to Ignite.
Evan Cakes got caught out by a binding again and is extremely low. Definitely would be nervous, but it looks like the Ezreal is recalling here.
Yeah, probably going back to pick up, it looks like a Tear and a Sheen. And start stacking.
Ooh.
Evan Cake's just kind of a magnet for those Morgana bindings tonight.
Yeah, you gotta wonder what is up there. A little trade going on up here in the top lane. The early Ninja Tabby's already coming out from the Malphite. He is prioritizing that armor just like we thought he would. And it looks like Graves is prioritizing the Rift Herald. Again, this early game pressure from Pepperdine with their jungler Windchill.
Yeah, knowing that the Teemo jungle just doesn't have a lot of impact before he gets his ult, before he really starts to stack those items. Interesting, we see the Fiendish Codex coming out from the Teemo. Stacking AP early. I'm curious to know where where Windchill will take this Rift Herald, if he'll try to get into the mid lane and knock down a couple plates, or if he'll go down into the bot lane and try to take first tower down there in the bot lane.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll really depend on the situation here in the next minute of this game.
This is a much more passive game than we've seen. Despite Pepperdine taking early advantages incrementally, only one major skirmish where the Teemo burned the flash in the jungle and not capitalized on, as we see the Teemo's flash coming up here in the next couple seconds. Oh. And that's the power of the Malphite, folks.
Wow, we did not even see that on stream because we are not using directed camera.
Yeah, the Malphite just ults onto the Lucian, knocks him up, throws a rock at him, and good night. Here it is. We rotate down to the bot lane. Rift Herald drop. We're just going to knock this tower down.
Chat will be happy to see that Scott did indeed hit his Ornn ultimate, though if you've been watching Worlds recently, you'll find that that's not so easy to do. We see the Rakan ultimate come out, charms several members of Colorado, but ultimately it is the Rakan that dies, not any of their team in this little bot lane skirmish.
Yeah, another binding finding Evan Cakes and just going a little bit too far forward there with the Rakan E into W into ult. So a little over aggressive there, but Pepperdine does take the bot lane tower and that'll be first brick going to them. Unfortunately, the kill did go over to the Ezreal, so gold in the right hands for Colorado.
Yeah, I think ultimately getting that tower was smart, but just that over-aggressive play by Evan Cakes just is not worth it for Pepperdine. Of course, it's not first blood over to the Ezreal, so at least there's that, but you don't want that first blood going over to the Malphite either, because he is already 30 CS ahead of this Lucian in the top lane.
Yeah, and this Lucian pick really not working out. You know, I think they picked it to try to get a poor matchup for the GP, but with the lane swaps coming through, it just hasn't really worked out the way it wanted to.
Gotta wonder why Evan Cake stuck around to try to potentially sacrifice his life to get that shroom. It's a little bit concerning to see.
Yeah, well, as we see, Dragon is up. Colorado has all the vision priority. Even with their bot lane tower gone, they're still first the objective, and Evan Cake's just a little caught out there trying to get down some vision and clear some shrooms.
Yeah, that is kind of the untold benefit of Teemo jungle. Those shrooms do provide a great amount of objective control, especially with how prevalent Teemo can be on the map. So this is something that Pepperdine definitely has not played against, considering the rarity of Teemo jungle. So we're going to have to see how their adaptation plays out. But it does look like they are going to engage on this dragon without much concern.
Yeah. This is perplexing. Colorado had all of the vision and all the priority. They could have, you know, either bluffed the Dragon Start or started and forced Pepperdine to come to them, and instead they back. Teemo goes topside, and it was another binding hit 7 cakes. And yeah, and Pepperdine just picks up the Dragon for free. It costs them nothing despite being second to the play. So I'm not sure. I'm very interested to know what the comms were like there from Colorado. Just perhaps thinking that without the Malphite there, they weren't able to have the advantage.
Oh, and the Malphite ulti comes down onto the Kai'Sa and the Rakan, but it gets neither. 3 members were there from Colorado State. This Ezreal ult comes down. Will it get anyone? It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, no summoner spells burned on the side of Pepperdine for it, so the Malphite ult, unfortunately, just
we're not
ineffective.
We're not seeing an AP Malphite, so the ultimate does not one-shot the backline there. He needs his team to follow up.
As we take stock of where we're at in the game, Malphite up almost 1,200 gold over this Lucian. Really almost disastrous, though. Evan Cakes is closing in on 1,000 gold lead over the Teemo, so offset there a little bit, and we see that reflected in the gold score. Only 500 gold lead
I'm
to the side.
assuming you mean Windchill, not Evan Cakes.
I am off my game tonight, Ramsey. I cannot get those names right.
No, it's okay, Coddy. It's okay. So, yes, but you definitely want Windchill to be getting ahead, right? Like we've said time and time again that the Pepperdine jungler really kind of is the playmaker on this team in a lot of different ways. Each player has their moment to shine, but when Windchill is not online, you can definitely feel it in Pepperdine's gameplay. So as long as he's online, there is always going to be a good shot of Pepperdine winning the game.
Yeah, my biggest worry for Pepperdine right here, and it's compensated a little bit by the Graves being out ahead, is that Lucian, it just feels like won't be a priority or a powerhouse at any point in this game. The Manamune now finished and the Cole ticking down, but at 15 minutes, down 50 CS, it just feels like he's missed his opportunity for a big mid-game power spike.
That was an interesting little not cancel, it seems, from the Ornn there on the Malphite. That might be a little bit of a spectator glitch. Overall, Pepperdine is down in gold, but not by much. Their other plays have been able to make up for it, especially first turret. The only turret down on the map is the one that Pepperdine got in that bot lane play with the Rift Herald.
Kai'Sa's items are perplexing. You see a long sword, a dirk, and a warhammer. Oh, got a fight starting here.
You see the TP coming out from what I assume is the Malphite. Yes, the Malphite did TP. And it looks like Pepperdine might be giving this Rift Herald over to the side of the Colorado School of Mines.
Yeah, with Lucian on the bot side and not an answering TP, it's just safe to give it over. I imagine they'll take a mid lane and try to knock down this mid tower and open up the map.
So we just have another minute on this Mountain Drake coming up. So you have to imagine, based on what Pepperdine has been doing in this game and previous, that Drake will be a priority. And you can kind of see them start laying down that vision and priority in that bot side.
Yep. The Ornn swapped over back to teleport to make sure he's able to TP into this fight. And yeah, I think with 2 dragons in their bag already, and the important role that that big shield will grant Pepperdine, you know, saving perhaps a Lucian or a Kai'Sa from a big Malphite ult or a GP ult, I think that will be a very key aspect to the winning this game for Pepperdine.
Yeah, you can see everyone making that way. You can see the pings coming out from Mines Esports, letting them know that, yes, Pepperdine has vision around that Drake right now.
We see the Rift Herald dropped in mid lane. That should give Mines Esports the push in the mid lane and give them an opportunity to start up this dragon while Pepperdine has to clear the Rift Herald.
Yeah, and you can see Mines starting up that Mountain Drake and trying to pull it out of the pit a bit so you limit the chance of Pepperdine stealing it.
Yep. This should go over, barring a miraculous steal.
Which has been known to happen.
This is true, and it looks like...
And
it just missing the smite.
Was missed. Malphite does ult over, it seems, into Pepperdine, but ultimately runs out as fast as his legs can carry him when he does not catch anyone out. The Gangplank ultimate did go down as well, but it looks like while they didn't get a kill, they will take the mid lane tower as a consolation prize.
They will, and... Well, it's not a consolation prize. They got the dragon and the mid lane tower. That's just 2 wins in a row for Mines Esports. It looks like Scott might get some chip damage on this top lane tower, and a fight starts
Rakan ultimate goes down, charms 2 members of Mines Esports. Bobby Joe does get the kill on the Teemo jungle, but Evan Cakes was the sacrificial lamb. But honestly, the life of the support on Pepperdine for the life of this Teemo is probably worth.
And it gives Scott just a little bit more time to knock down this turret up here in the top lane. We do see the GP going to answer. So, an even trade all around in the fight, though Mines Esports, again, did pick up a mid lane tower, or is very close to picking up the mid lane tower. They should get it here. And they got the Drake. Is Ezreal really starting to hurt with that Mana Mune picked up and the Sheen. And we are seeing the Ninja Tabbies just coming through on almost everybody on this side of Mines Esports with this triple AD comp.
Yeah, you have to wonder why Pepperdine's Kai'Sa is not building pretty much any sort of AP item right now when Kai'Sa can pretty easily prioritize some AP damage in her build when no one else on Pepperdine is able to do so.
Yeah, and this Malphite is just going to continue to stack armor. I mean, we see already a Sunfire Cape and a Warden's Mail coming through. I mean, he's going to be very difficult to kill.
Yeah, you have to wonder if maybe that's just a build Bobby Joe is not familiar with or it wasn't communicated. You do see a Fiendish Codex on the Kai'Sa now. So maybe after picking up that Serrated Dirk and the Essence Reaver, now she'll be playing more towards that AP build, but coming a little bit late in the game.
Looking at the gold here, Windchill, got it right this time, has opened up a close to 1,500 gold lead over this Teemo. I mean, really punishing this Teemo jungle for its rather weak early game.
Very true. But Teemo still is pretty much holding his own in these fights, providing a lot of utility to his team with both his objective control as well as his ability to blind pretty much 3 members of the Pepperdine team who rely on auto-attacking. So it'll be interesting to see how this scales into the later stages of the game.
This Ezreal is going to start being a problem for Pepperdine. The Frozen Fist completed and the Mirror Mana transformed. Those Qs are going to start to hit like a truck.
Very true.
And this Gangplank is starting to scale too with the Triforce and presumably an Infinity Edge coming through with that BF sword.
Yeah, and all of this CC on the side of Mines Esports is worth noting because now pretty much every member of their squad has some way to slow or otherwise immobilize members of Pepperdine. Because now you have that Frozen Gauntlet that allows Ezreal to do the same.
curiously enough, we see Ninja Tabbies from Windchill, not the Merc Treads we were expecting. So, not afraid. Oh, Kai'Sa gets Malphite ulted and
Bobby Joe does die. Burns flash to try to get away, but ultimately does die. The Gangplank ult goes down, does not get anybody else, but Bobby Joe is dead. And this Evan Cakes goes in, tries to catch someone out, but ultimately, like you said, that Ezreal hits like a truck and Evan Cakes goes down.
Yeah, really, just Bobby Joe a little too far extended, not respecting the Malphite ult, and the follow-up CC and slows from Mines Esports. They should get this tower, and that gold leads, well...
Oh, Scott to the rescue, maybe? No, the black shield from
Orno.
Morgana goes down, and all of that armor on the Malphite just makes him incredibly tanky.
Yeah, we're really seeing the lack of AP damage here, and there's just nobody who can take out this Malphite right now.
It does look, based on the Fiendish Codex and the 2 daggers there, that Kai'Sa might be building into that Rage Blade we expected to see earlier in the game. Pepperdine definitely does not want to see an eventual Mountain Soul on the side of Mines Esports, so, you know, while it won't make or break the game to give this Drake over, it certainly won't help.
Yeah, no, Mountain Soul to the side of Mines Esports kind of seals the deal for Pepperdine. I don't think there's any way for them to get through that Drake. Uh-oh.
The Malphite ultimate goes over, and ultimately it's the Teemo who gets the pick onto Bobby Joe. The Rakan ult goes out, but ultimately no one is able to follow up on the charms. It was more of a defensive ultimate, but the Teemo is a bit caught out, and it has to ultimately flash away. The Gangplank caught out here. The Rakan W ultimately does not get anyone, and Windchill goes in and gets the ultimate, gets the double kill onto both the mid laner and the jungler for Mines Esports, and Ezreal comes in and shoots kind of a Q into the wild blue yonder, but gets both the Lucian and the Rakan. The flash goes out from Orange to try to secure the kill onto the Ezreal. A very scrappy fight that honestly probably shouldn't have been that scrappy if you're Pepperdine.
Yeah, really not phenomenally well played from either side. The Ezreal flashing over, missing his QW combo, and does get the Lucian in the long run, but dies for it. Still, in the end, Pepperdine secures the Drake. It puts them on soul point. Now, Mines Esports will have to respect that potential soul, and if Pepperdine can secure it, it will be a great boon for them trying to survive into this late game.
Yeah, and you can see that gold differential for the junglers there just continuing to spread. It's almost 3k gold now between Windchill and that Teemo, but ultimately it is everyone else on the side of Mines Esports that Pepperdine really has to worry about, especially this Ezreal that has a solid 1.5k gold lead on the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, I mean, Windchill just trying to put his big old carry pants on and carry Pepperdine across the finish line here. I imagine we'll see him build a little more armor pen in his next item. Does have that upgraded Black Cleaver now.
You do see Scott is level 14. He needs another level to upgrade.
Nashor's Tooth being picked up here by the Kai'Sa, so picking up some AP damage, hopefully help that passive shred through the Malphite in the next fight.
Yeah, she's got this stinger, it seems. Not quite the full Nashor's Tooth yet.
It looks like Mines Esports is considering a potential Baron play here. Maybe try to sneak it or force Pepperdine to face check them. Yeah. GP backing, perhaps, to get in position, though. With TP up, you would think if they wanted to bait the Pepperdine team in, they would keep the GP in the bot lane.
Indeed, but now Everyone from Mines is up in this topside jungle on the side of Pepperdine.
Fortunately, there's no camps up there, so all they're going to get is vision out of it. At least in the short term. Oh, is the Teemo caught here?
The Teemo does blind the Lucian, but the Lucian ultimate does go through the Teemo blind.
Yeah, good trade there on the side of Santo. Force the Teemo out. They can't continue to pressure Baron with the Teemo that low. Buys Pepperdine a little bit of time.
Ornn was tangoing with the gangplank down in the bot side. Looks like he'll continue that tango for the time being.
Really fantastic vision control from the side of Mines Esports. The Teemo shrooms in the blue side jungle, and then in the red side jungle, wards littered about. They'll have all the information to know where the Pepperdine team is roaming and transitioning to, so getting caught out in rotation could be very dangerous for the side of Pepperdine with all those wards in their jungle.
Yeah, Pepperdine will get this Scuttle Crab, which will just help a little bit with the vision in the river.
And we see the Death Stance picked up here for the Graves. That's going to be a huge item for him to start mitigating some of that damage and give him a little more survivability in these team fights.
Yeah, you said that Windchill was going to put on his carry pants. It looks like the carry pants look like a sword.
And a Duskblade of Drakthar picked up for the Ezreal. I've not seen this build before. Blue Ezreal with just a little sprinkle of red in there in the form of that Duskblade.
Very interesting. I haven't seen it either.
Perhaps because very little armor is being built on the side of Pepperdine. I'm hoping that little bit of lethality will help do a little true damage to the Lucian and the Graves and the Kai'Sa.
Evan Cake's a bit caught out here. Does manage to get away because not everyone on the side of Mines was there to capitalize on that Morgana route. Shoots it a little bit wide there on the Ornn. It does look like everyone is starting to prioritize this Drake that's coming up in just 20 seconds. It is soul point for Pepperdine. They want this soul very much.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're just going to have to...
Oh, and it is ultimately... Windchill does pop an hourglass, but will ultimately die, and the shutdown goes over to the Ezreal. That is...
Add to worse for Pepperdine here.
That is pretty much the ultimate worst case scenario. And this Drake will go over to Mines as well. They are not at soul point yet. Pepperdine still has another Drake they could fight for and lose, but honestly, I don't know if they can take many more losses.
I don't think they can, and as we noted, the vision control in the blue side or the red side jungle there, just, you know, Evan Chill not respecting it and getting caught out. Now we see Baron started up on the side of Mines Esports, and it's going down relatively quickly. This is going to be secured in trade for the mid lane tower.
They did that Baron extremely quickly.
Yeah, on hit Teemo with a Gangplank and an Ezreal will shred through a Baron. You know, this GP in a side lane with Baron empowered minions and a Teemo just kind of hover there invisible to back him up. I don't know who's going to answer the GP in the side lane.
Yeah, you've seen now Pepperdine has fallen to almost a 3k gold deficit in this match here, and so they are definitely feeling the pressure to close out this game and somehow manage to get the gold they need to win. It looks like Windchill's going to walk over that mine there, but oh, he managed to miss it.
So despite Windchill being up 3,500 gold, Pepperdine is still down 3,000 gold. So without that advantage from Windchill, it would be a 6k gold advantage to the side of Mines. So Evan Chill's just going to have to play very safe. The team's going to have to play around him and hope they can find...
You mean Windchill?
Windchill. I'll get it eventually, Ramsey, I promise.
I believe in you. It's just a Wednesday night. Oh, the Malphite ultimate goes down. Ultimately does not catch out anyone specifically on the side of Pepperdine, but he does flash in after Evan Cakes. The Ornn ultimate goes down. Kai'Sa will die to the poison from the Teemo there. And the Lucian throws out the ultimate to see if he can poke Mines down some more, but The Ezreal Q almost takes him down. Hitting like
Once
a truck.
again, we see the vision priority from Mines Esports in the red side and in the jungle in general, but just kind of catching Pepperdine out left and right. All of Pepperdine's pink wards dedicated to that bot side jungle with, you know, nothing in the top side, and they just get caught.
Yeah, it's just kind of a war of attrition here on the side of Mines Esports. They're just kind of whittling away at Pepperdine here right now, and you've really got to wonder why, just why. Pepperdine kind of had all the resources that they needed to know information-wise for this game to go very, very well, but
They won the early game. They got those early couple of dragons, and then I think a lack of vision, a lack of respect of the Malphite ult and the Morgana follow-up, and just a couple too many picks. And all of a sudden, Pepperdine finds themselves down a first Baron. Mines Esports about, you know, could tie the Drake score with this next Drake, and just unfortunately somewhat lackluster play on the side of Pepperdine as they entered the mid game here. We see Mines Esports once again setting up vision around the objective early.
Pepperdine's heading that direction as well, but so far they've shown that they have not learned how to better handle the Malphite, so let's hope they don't get caught out again.
They are contesting vision though, which is a good sign. Hopefully if they can contest a little bit of vision, they won't get picked off so easily. Although the Ornn is rooted up.
Scott gets a little caught out there. He built a Locket of the Iron Solari. Interesting, going utility there to try to help keep Pepperdine alive. Oh, and
Santo just gets solo killed by the Ezreal.
Man, I guess it was his time, huh?
This Ezreal is big, really
when the
big,
joke
folks.
just goes over your head. Oh, it looks like the Malphite ult does come down to engage. The Ornn ultimate goes out, ultimately does not get anybody up, and the Gangplank gets the kill on the Ornn. Pepperdine has 2 down as this Drake comes up, which is not where they want to be. It looks like this Mountain Drake, with very, very little concern, will head over to the side of Mines Esports unless Windchill or someone else can manage to get that. Evan Cakes gets caught out again by an Ezreal Q that hits just so much. Windchill misses the smite again, tries his best, but he ultimately goes down, and
that's all she wrote, folks.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm not quite sure this will be game, but it very well could be.
I think Mines is going to push to get as much as they can. They will certainly get this tower and an inhibitor. They'll have the chance to back, drop some wards on the Baron pit, and then force Pepperdine to face check them at the Baron, where they hope to win a team fight, get the Baron, and win the game. Although we do see them going for a little bit more here.
Yeah, Pepperdine really needs them to make a mistake. The Ornn goes in, does get the headbutt in. The Ornn ultimate goes down and gets multiple people on the side of Mines Esports. The Malphite ultimate goes in and hits the Kaisa. She gets rooted by the Morgana Q, and she goes down. The GP ultimate goes down to try to kill the rest of Pepperdine, and it does look like Evan Cakes will go down to the Morgana Q. And ooh, the rest of Pepperdine barely makes it out, but it looks like that will ultimately be the play that ends the game. Ornn does manage to live.
It's just a magnet for those Morgana binds this game, unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks like Mines Esports is just going for a little bit of style points there, but ultimately Pepperdine does lose this match versus Mines Esports. Keep in mind the victory that you see on the screen there is just general for the spectators.
Wow, what a game, folks. You know, it started out great on the side of Pepperdine. They got 2 early Drakes. They had a great lead on Windchill. And then, as we mentioned in the pregame, just kind of a lack of vision control around objectives. We saw the Kai'Sa get picked off a number of times. The Lucian fell behind early, never had any relevancy. I mean, his last ultimate channeled almost a full calling onto the Malphite and barely got through the Malphite passive shield. I mean, that Lucian pick just did not work out. You know, they tried to swap into the top lane against the Gangplank, but Windchill never really put any priority there to get it ahead. The Teemo kind of didn't camp the lane, but focused a couple early ganks up there to mitigate pressure, and just never really got it rolling, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Pepperdine was winning the early game, but in reality, it was kind of a ticking time bomb for the side of Pepperdine because they did not have that damage variety that they needed. So as the people on Mines Esports started slowly building more and more armor on that Malphite, they had a front line that Pepperdine just could not kill. And everyone on Mines Esports picked up a Ninja Tabby, it seems. So it just, Pepperdine couldn't really deal with that. And the Nashor's Tooth and such coming out from the Kai'Sa just came way too late for anything to happen. You have to wonder if during that draft discussion they realized after they locked everyone in, oh wait, where's our AP?
Yeah, you see the Lucian be a triple flex, and it's a great pick because it gives you flexibility. But if it's going into the mid lane, you usually see it paired with an AP jungler, a Lilia or an Evelyn, or something that can provide kind of percent health or burst AP damage, so that way you don't just get armor stacked on. And that's what we saw this game from, a really smart itemization and draft from Mines Esports. And I think Pepperdine's going to have to do a lot to change it up for this next game, both in the draft and in their play, specifically around vision and objectives. Their early game was great. Just transitioning into that mid game, make sure that you are putting down your vision, checking all your boxes, not getting caught out, just playing a little bit more safe and slow and safe, I guess. Make sure that you don't follow some of those mid-game pitfalls.
That is a repeated problem we see, especially on the side of Evan Cakes getting caught out by those Morgana Qs. You swear he was wearing some sort of magical magnet to make sure that that every single one of them hit. And just in general, your carries can't carry if your team comp does not allow it, right? There was really nothing to help Pepperdine get through the rest of that game. It was just overall a pretty bad draft.
Yeah, I think draft kind of the big problem here. They started out great. I liked the Lucian at the start, and it's just kind of in that second phase where they didn't draft to complement their strengths, unfortunately. So we'll see how they adapt. Hopefully going into game 2, I would like to see a Teemo ban. I think the Teemo, even though it was down in early game gold, still had a lot of damage, still provided utility in the form of shrooms to provide vision. Teemo shrooms, though they don't provide a lot of vision, do give you an extra set of vision items in the form of the ultimate. So, we will see.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's nice. The opposing team wants the link for the stream, so I'll get that for them real quick.
Happy to provide somewhat unbiased commentary for them.
Yeah, by somewhat unbiased, definitely.
I want a good game,
a little feedback.
That's what I work for.
There we go. So we might have some lovely people from the Colorado School of Mines joining us in this stream, eh?
Glad to have you here.
If you're seeing this, we're on a 2-minute delay, so as
that
per
is for
CLOL regulations.
Competitive integrity.
Indeed, indeed. It looks like almost everyone is ready. I was waiting for people to get in here. I cannot currently invite you to the lobby.
That's all right.
Let me get
Thinking about the upcoming draft, I don't see any adaptations needed on the side of Mines Esports. I think they had a very good strategy coming through. They drafted comfort picks for their carries. If Pepperdine gives them the opportunity to run that draft back, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do it. They waited on their top lane pick for that GP to make sure they could get a good matchup for it. So very well done on the side of Mines Esports. On the other side, as we've discussed, I think a Teemo ban, get glimpse off comfort. You know, we haven't seen him.
We need you to go over to spectate real quick, Coddy. So that
yep, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, I think getting glimpse off Teemo comfort, and maybe even just a Malphite ban. I mean, if you want to leave the Teemo up, a Malphite ban I think is very crucial. That Malphite just did so much work in this game. Not enough respect was paid to its engage range with the Morgana follow-up. No QSSs were built, though they don't do a ton into the Malphite ult. And so I think that's a big priority moving forward for Pepperdine is the Teemo and the Malphite. Take away one of them so we don't have just, you know, kind of a salty run back. And then obviously if you do want to triple flex that Lucian, draft some AP somewhere or have the Kaisa build some AP a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and in real, if I was Pepperdine, I think I would prioritize the Malphite ban just because historically that's been more of a problem. And really, the Teemo was not a struggle in the early game. And so if Pepperdine just had more resources going into that mid and late game, they probably would have been better off overall. But we are ready to get into the pick ban stage now. So we'll see what adjustments both teams make. It seems like Pepperdine's got a little bit more adjusting to do than Mines does.
I agree, and we'll see it come out here. Though I have a question for you, Ramsey. Is it pick ban or ban pick? Because ban pick doesn't sound as good, but it is technically the correct order. You ban first, then pick.
It's always pick ban for me. I will never say ban pick.
I agree. Same bans thus far here. Hecarim banned away, so not afraid of that Teemo, at least, you know, not putting the first priority on it. Talon banned away on the side of Mines Esports, not surprising. Take Santo off comfort. And there it is. There's the Malphite ban we're asking for. I think that's a great adaptation on the side of Pepperdine.
Pepperdine should have known. The same bans coming out from Mines Esports so far. The Ashe coming through just like before.
If anything, I think perhaps a Graves ban. Windshield was clearly very comfortable on it. Oh, and a Morgana ban.
They are trying to protect Evan Cakes from his magnetic Morgana Q armor that he just can't take off.
Very much so. And I think a good adaptation, you know, they had some issues dodging the Morgana binds. It wasn't phenomenal in lane, but that's all right. If it gives Evan Cakes more priority, I think that's a win. And interesting, a Yasuo ban. So 2 bans thrown at the mid lane for Santo. I wonder if he falls back to the Orianna he played, or if they decide to go with another first pick Lucian.
And Pepperdine is locking in the Leona.
I think that's smart. They banned it last time. This time they first pick it to keep it out of the hands of Colorado.
It'll be interesting. Have we seen Evan Cakes play Leona so far this season?
Not this season, no. We've seen a lot of Rakan and a lot more Rakan.
And the Teemo is first picked here.
That surprises me. I don't know why they wouldn't save it unless they feel it's just that important, but hey. I imagine an Ezreal pick here, it worked so well for them last game, not give Pepperdine the chance to pick that away.
Yep, they are going to go with it. Yeah, Pepperdine needs to figure out some way to shut the Ezreal down. Not feeding him 4 kills in the early game will probably help. And it looks like maybe a Senna coming out with the Leona.
I wonder if this will be a support Senna or an AD Senna.
I imagine AD. I've heard Bobby Joe flirting with the idea of Senna ADC before, but we could always see it go the other way around. There is always the...
I'm sorry, we have a Leona locked in already. It is, of course, an AD Senna. My apologies.
I didn't know if you thought Leona might be playing a spicy top lane. I don't know.
I have seen juggle Leona before. I don't think it's particularly good, but I have seen it.
We have a Teemo jungle. Anything could happen.
Anything is possible in this game.
And the Graves does come through. So far, a lot of AD damage still from Pepperdine, making me a little nervous here, folks. Just a little.
I think we'll probably see an Orianna or a Syndra out of Santo in the mid lane. I don't think they'll make the same mistake and draft no AP, especially since they don't have a Kai'Sa here in this game.
Makes sense.
And a Nautilus on the side of Colorado. I think this is a great pick into two immobile carries in the form of Senna and Graves. Nautilus Hook and Nautilus Ult, both very strong CC abilities. And he's got that big shield to help protect him and be a strong front line. We see another Silas ban, just taking away an AP pick in the mid lane. And in this game in particular, both Ezreal and Nautilus Ult, very good ults for the Silas CEO. So I think it's a smart ban on the side of Colorado.
Yeah, we could be seeing the Silas top lane if it was not banned, because I know Scott does play it, but obviously will not be happening now.
I wonder if we see, a Vladimir ban. That is a favorite of the Mines top laner. And do we an Echo ban? Okay.
Yeah, taking away an AP mid laner away from Santomasi.
And Echo, very good into Ezreal, has the ability to stick to the Ezreal and follow the Ezreal jump. So I think a smart ban again on the side of Mines. Good draft priority here from Mines in both games. Do we see a GP ban here from Pepperdine? No, an Ornn ban.
And
okay.
They weren't picking. Did they know that they weren't picking?
I wonder if they were just, if they've got something in mind, if maybe a Mordekaiser.
They
we have seen Evan play Mordekaiser, or excuse me, Scott play Mordekaiser.
Yeah, so that might be where the AP damage is coming this game. Could be the Mordekaiser. And Orianna picked up on the side of Mines, which is a pick that Santomasi could have gone with, so.
And again, very good into this immobile team that Pepperdine has drafted thus far.
So we'll have to see what comes out here from Pepperdine. It looks like it'll be the Syndra for Santo. The first time we are seeing his Syndra here in competitive play.
And I wonder if they do fall back to the Mordekaiser in the top lane now that they... No, a Yorick.
I don't think this will be locked in.
Is this a little shout out to you there, Ramsey? Little love thrown your way?
Oh, me. Like I simp for Maiden, you know?
Camille, that seems much, much better. So this kind of rounds out the Pepperdine comp well. It's going to lock down, presumably, the Ezreal or the Orianna, give the Leona someone to jump onto who can't get out of the... Are we going to see a Darius? Are we going to see a win lane, win game type of comp here from Mines Esports?
It's going to be a Shen.
That seems much more reasonable. Shen matches up fairly well into the Camille, can block the true damage auto attack that Camille has with Shen's little auto attack bubble blocker skill that he has. I'm blanking on the name. So a pretty good comp out of Mines. They've got the same Ezreal carry focus. Now they've got a Shen to ult on top of the Ezreal if he gets Camille ulted. The Camille will want to split push, and the Shen won't be able to answer well and have the ultimate to answer if Camille teleports into team fights. So this is going to be an execution game, Ramsey. This is going to come down to who team fights better and whose macros better playing around the TPs and the Shen ult.
Yeah, and I know you're talking about how strong the Mines Esports comp is right now, but Pepperdine themselves have a lot of lockdown as well. Not only the Camille, but also Senna W into Leona E root Q combo. You've got the Syndra stun. You've got a Graves blind you can, or like nearsighted, whatever it's called, that you can layer on top of it as well. So Pepperdine also has a fair bit of spiciness they can bring to these team fights later on in the game, so we'll just have to see who can do it better.
My only concern with Pepperdine CC, then they've got plenty of it, and it's good CC, but none of it is point and click, right? And on the other side, that Nautilus just gets to hover his mouth and say, you there, you're getting knocked up, and anyone in between me and you is also getting knocked up. So I'm a little worried that this Syndra will just get Nautilus ulted, knocked up, Orianna shockwaved, and the Teemo will throw a shroom down on top of her and she'll just be deleted. So it's going to require good vision control. Bobby Joe and Santo Massey cannot be pushed up without the Leona there or the Camille hovering to make sure that they're not picked off by either a shockwave or a Shen taunt or a Nautilus ult or a hook. So disciplined play on the side of Pepperdine. That's the name of the game. Good, strong fundamental vision control around objectives, not overcommitting to pushes in the side lanes or getting caught out in the mid lane. I think Pepperdine absolutely can and should win this game with this draft that they have, but again, Mines Esports played very well in this last game and showed a lot of ability to play around, feed this Ezreal, and really empower him. So I'm hoping for an excellent game here, Ramsey.
Yeah, I think it'll certainly be spicy. We'll have to see if Pepperdine puts on, their game face and goes for it, or if that first game losing to that Teemo jungle and that Malphite, whether the tilt will rule the day. Really, I think a lot of it will come down also to Pepperdine's mental energy here and what they can pull out of their back pocket in terms of, cool, calm, and collected, and just not get over aggressive and not let that get to them.
I'm really excited to see Pepperdine put Scott on a carry. We've only seen one non-Ornn game from him this season.
Mm-hmm.
When he played that Malphite into UCLA, and it didn't do a whole lot. So hopefully he can step up here. He's been given a split pusher. He's been given a great, a champion that has a lot of skill expression. Very excited to see what he can do with it. Because if he can get the ball rolling and become that just unbelievable diver that locks somebody down that Camille can be, I think he'll have really a chance to shine in this game.
Yeah, and, Scott, by trade, is a mid laner. He was a mid laner before he came to play for Pepperdine, so these high skill expression champions really kind of are his comfort, actually. So it'll be nice to see him not on Ornn duty for once and see what we can make of him. We have seen him pop off on Renekton in the past, so we know that he does have that carry potential. He does not just have to be a utility player, so I'm interested to see what he can do on a champion that has a mix of both utility as well as that heavy carry potential.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. We see Glacial Augment coming out from the Senna here, so really going for that early laning phase, going to prioritize getting and stacking those souls in the early game and pushing this Ezreal in, try to get a strong early game lead for the Senna. Cleanse taken on the side of the Ezreal. I think this is a great adaptation from the ADC on the side of Mines Esports with all of the lockdown that Pepperdine has, being able to cleanse a Syndra stun or cleanse a Leona ult. I think is going to be very key. I wonder if Mines has something special planned here. It looks like the Syndra will spot them out.
Pepperdine is fanning out into a 5-point. It looks like the Syndra did spot out the invasion force of Mines Esports, so it looks like nobody from Pepperdine will be caught out, at least at this point. But it does look like the red buff from Pepperdine might be taken. No, it looks like Mines is pulling back.
Now this worries me. We see the bot lane rotating up. This could be a trap intending to catch Pepperdine on this invade. This would be a very clever level 1 strat out of Mines Esports and could spell disaster for Pepperdine.
Yeah, it does look like they are all coming up. It looks like... Did Syndra see it? Oh, the Orianna orb does let Pepperdine know what is happening. Scott takes
is in
W
a rough
first.
spot here. Force the flash. Oh. And that just does not feel good.
And the Nautilus flash goes down.
Disastrous level 1 here
for
the side of Pepperdine. Not how they wanted to start out.
Although
it does give the lane advantage to, at least the early lane advantage in the push to Bobby Joe and Evan Cake. So hopefully they can push the Ezreal in, keep him from backing, and mitigate some of that early gold that's going to go on to him.
But yeah, that was a very, very clever play from Mines, and all they really lose for it is the flash on their support.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see the build pathing here on the Senna bot lane. She tends to go lethality, but sometimes we see a mix of different things, like a black cleaver in there as well.
Yeah, with this Nautilus Shen, I imagine she'll pick up a black cleaver just to have some early armor penetration. Good taunt there from the Shen. I'm very curious to see how Evan and Bobby Joe play out this lane, knowing that, you know, they have the priority, they have the advantage in lane, but with that Ezreal picking up an early kill, it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, it appears that you are just a couple seconds ahead of me on what stream is seeing, just an FYI. You called the Shen taunt 4 seconds before it happened, so a little bit of a vision there.
Alrighty. So after that spicy level 1, the game has settled down a little bit. We don't see that same split map from the junglers that we did last game, although the Teemo is getting in here to perhaps make something happen in the bot side.
Scott and this Shen in the top lane from Bombonian, trading and just kind of staying pretty even. Shen is falling a little bit behind in CS, and he can make that up. The Teemo is down here. Looks like he might be heading towards the Krugs. No, he will be sticking around potentially for that gank, wasting a lot of time there in the bot side in that bush.
And didn't get much for it. Didn't take all of the Krugs. Didn't get the red buff.
Didn't take any of the Krugs. It seems they completely reset.
Yeah, not the best timing or use of time there from the Teemo. Dragon is spawning here in the next 30 seconds or so, so we'll see with the Ezreal and the Nautilus having the push if they back and set up vision around the Dragon, or if they just come back to lane and continue to push in the Senna Leona.
We are seeing Windchill start to open up that early jungle gold difference that he was able to open up before, just slightly at this point, but we know that that can grow as we move on. We'll have to see if it makes a difference this time.
Great.
Teemo is hovering around this.
Fantastic stun out of Santo to stop that Nautilus hook from getting in there and rooting him.
Oh yeah, we just saw that. That was really quick reflexes there on Santo Massey. kind of slow and steady wins the race right now. They're currently even in gold on the side of both Pepperdine and the Colorado School of Mines.
I think this is smart from Pepperdine. No need to overforce in the early game. They already lost first blood to a good play. Little fight down here in the bot lane.
Looks like Pepperdine will need to back off. The Leona does get Nautilus queued, but ultimately there's also a gank going on top side as well. It looks like the Shen might go down, dies to Windchill, and the gank in the bottom lane from Mines does not get anyone.
Very well played on the side of Pepperdine, although this does give Mines Esports the chance to rotate into this dragon. So about even overall when they pick up this objective.
And the dragon is going quite slow, but it doesn't look like Pepperdine's going to even know. It doesn't look like they have any vision around this Drake right now, so it looks like Mines will pick it up without too much fuss.
The Graves is in the top side, will take all of the top side jungle and continue to open up that lead over the Teemo. So not totally uncontested, but still. No vision on the side of Pepperdine in that bot side river area. So once again, we're going to have to hope that Pepperdine can be a little more vision focused around these objectives and not have things kind of stolen out from underneath their noses.
Oh, a nice stun into the blind from the Graves. The Nautilus is there to get the re-engage back onto Windchill. The Orianna ulti comes down, and the Graves does die to the Orianna.
And flash blown on the side of Graves, so Summer spell down, and the kill goes over to the mid laner on the side of Mines Esports.
That was almost very, very good for Pepperdine. Now, very not.
And we're seeing the power of that Shen just able to TP into fights and be a third member.
Oh no, the Camille looks like she is a bit caught out by 3 members of Colorado School of Mines. The Teemo was there, the Nautilus was there, support roams for days.
This Nautilus is all over the map with these Moby boots. I mean, really well played. Ezreal's a safe laner, can kind of 1v2 indefinitely, and just very well played from the support on the side of Colorado School of Mines.
And you're definitely not seeing the bot lane as far ahead as you would hope they would be with how much the Nautilus has been roaming.
Only up a handful of CS, and yeah, this is not the way the early game wanted to go for Pepperdine.
Still about even in gold, so it's not impossible.
Once again, we see the Nautilus roaming into the mid lane. I don't know if we'll find anything this time,
The Leona
but
is following up on him at this point. Leona spots out the Teemo and the Nautilus on those Raptors there.
Though Mines doesn't get anything for that roam, it forces Santo to back off, loses some CS to the tower, and Ezreal solo is still able to push in the bot lane. Just very well played on the side of Mines Esports.
Yeah, this Ezreal can kind of run all over the Senna in the right conditions, and these seem to be the right conditions. The Shen looks like he's going to go in on this Camille. Will he be baited with Windchill there? But the Teemo is there as well. We see the Camille ulti go down, but now there are 3 members of Mines Esports there. The rotations are just kind of on point from the Colorado School of Mines today.
Crucially, though, Orianna did miss the shockwave, so Pepperdine is able to back out safely without losing anybody. It looks like Mines Esports has rotated their bot lane into the mid lane, and they're sending the Orianna into the bot lane. Normally you don't see the bot lanes rotating up into the mid lane until they take the tower.
We see a little bit of a trade going on between the Camille and the Shen. The Nautilus ulti does go down, and Scott's Camille will die. Just a little bit aggressive, not really having enough vision, not being aware of where the Nautilus is, and it looks like the Senna is caught out here as well, has to flash away from both the Orianna and the Ezreal.
Scott not quite respecting the fact that that Nautilus was in the mid lane, and with those Moby boots has the ability to roam very quickly.
And we only have 15 seconds left on this Drake here, and it looks like Mines Esports is already priming to take it.
Fortunately, Pepperdine does have some vision play, so they're not totally blind going into this objective. We'll see if they have the ability to contest.
Syndra is slowly making her way down to the mid lane. It looks like Mines has pulled off of the Drake in light of the Leona and Graves showing, but
crucially, Scott was in the mid lane and able to answer a Shen TP or Shen ult, though he might be going back top lane now, and without TP, the Shen does have the summoner advantage with his ult and TP both available. So good job from Pepperdine, forcing Mines Esports off this objective, not allowing them to get another early Drake.
Importantly though, Pepperdine is not going for this objective either, opting to focus a lot of attention in that mid lane. The Orianna ult goes down, but nothing comes of it. And it does look like there's going to be a Senna Ezreal 1v1 that Bobby Joe does manage to clutch out there.
Excellent play from Bobby Joe, dodging most of the Ezreal damage, getting his ulti off to land, and burning the Ezreal flash in the process.
Yes, it's a very good play from Bobby Joe, but the Nautilus is here, engaged with the Q onto Windchill. The Shen TP's onto the Shen, probably to try to follow up on that Nautilus Q. The Camille ult does go down onto the Nautilus, and the kill is donated over to the Syndra. I'm not sure if that was on purpose or not, but it does set up Pepperdine to get this Drake.
Very well played. Hard to pick a Nautilus in the river, but they do an excellent job locking him down with the Camille, take out the support, and immediately rotate into the Dragon. Excellent team fight from Pepperdine. And all off the back of Bobby Joe 1v1ing the Ezreal in the bot lane.
Very true. There is this control ward down here in the bot lane that Pepperdine has not discovered, but it does look like they're going to go for a dive onto this Ezreal. It does look like he's going to go very low. He does die to the Ignite, I believe, from Leona, but will the rest of Pepperdine pay the price? The Teemo gets a double kill onto Windchill and Leona here.
Yeah, that Teemo... And Teemo's gonna start to be a little bit of a problem. 300 bounty on him.
I wonder if Pepperdine are really regretting letting the jungler both games have his comfort pick.
Yeah, I don't
Glimpse
know.
Has been very, very comfortable on this Teemo.
Yep, has fallen behind in the early game, both games, and yet it has not impacted his ability to make a statement in both games.
That's what happens when you have a one trick, man.
In the mid lane, we see Santos starting to fall behind, about 30 CS to the Orianna. Has picked up the Luden's Echo, so those ultimates will start to hurt. On the other side, the Orianna going Archangel's Staff. So a little bit of survivability, make sure that she doesn't have any mana issues.
Has not transformed into the Seraph's Embrace yet, though, and it does look like the Camille is going to engage onto the Orianna, does go in and tries to get the kill, almost pays for it with his life, but the Ezreal ultimate will go down and kill Scott. It looks like we also have the Nautilus and Teemo there to try to engage, but nothing more comes of it. I am sure Scott is regretting walking into that ultimate right now.
Yeah, it's hard to dodge those off-screen ults, but good aim on the side of Time there with the ulti.
Oh, the Syndra ult goes down as well as the Graves ultimate to try to kill that Nautilus, but he flashes away and is able to live.
That's a lot expended to try to kill the support without any major objectives coming up. I don't know if that's worth.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either. It seems like Pepperdine kind of is experiencing a little bit of desperation here. The Senna flashes away. The Shen goes over the wall, but ultimately they decide not to chase the Senna. Getting her flash is enough.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit of tilt here on the side of Pepperdine, trying to just find anything and make it happen. Again, I think making sure that they don't overcommit, lay down good vision, and play it safe and slow. I think they still have the ability to win this game. Once again, though, we see fantastic vision control in the bot side for Mines Esports.
Setting up for that Drake that's coming up here in about a minute and a half now. The Nautilus Q goes out on the Graves, as does the Ezreal ult, but the ult does miss.
So, taking stock of summoner spells before we get into this Drake fight. The Camille does have TP and the Shen has ulti, so both top laners with the ability to hang out in the top lane and wait to respond to a team fight. Almost everyone on the side of Pepperdine is missing their flashes, although Syndra's is coming up here in a moment. Whereas on the other side, the Ezreal does have access to his flash, so Ezreal with the ability to be slippery and put down damage, whereas Senna, if she gets hit by CC, she's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Also, his cleanse is up as well, so even if he does get hit with CC, he does have a way to get rid of it and continue participating in these team fights.
It's going to be important that the Ezreal gets locked down and bursted out before he has the ability to use that summoner spell and hop away, though that will be very difficult. It's going to require excellent CC layering on the side of Pepperdine.
You do see the Merc Treads coming out on Pepperdine's side as well this game.
Respecting that Teemo damage and slow, I think that's very smart. Now we see as Mines Esports prepares for this Dragons, Windshield drops the Rift Herald in the mid lane to make sure that they get an objective.
First turret of the game.
So trading. Yeah, no, it survived quite a long time, but Pepperdine smartly doesn't contest the Drake. They just take an objective in the mid lane, open up the map a little bit, knowing that that first Cloud Drake, not super impactful. Happy to give it up for a little bit of map pressure and an influx of gold. And once again, those Ezreal Qs with the Frozen Fist and the Manamune are really starting to chunk.
And yes, Pepperdine gets this first mid lane turret, but honestly, with the way that Mines has been moving as a unit this game, it really seems like they didn't need the map pressure early. But now the Camille goes in to try to kill the Orianna. The Shen comes down, was able to protect her with his ultimate. The Leona is caught out with both the Nautilus Q and the Nautilus ulti. The Senna ultimate goes down to try to save the support. It does look like, oh no, the Leona does not get out. The Ezreal Q comes out to take her life.
Yeah, once again, Pepperdine in their jungle, not respecting the vision, not respecting Mines Esports' ability to collapse on somebody, and the Leona gets picked off. Fortunately, no standing objectives right now for Mines Esports to take. They do get a little bit of chick damage on the mid lane tower, but it shouldn't fall down with the Graves and the Senna here to protect it.
You've got to wonder why Pepperdine did not prioritize this Ezreal in the pick ban phase, considering how much of a problem he was in the last game, and he's continuing to be this game. The Syndra stun does manage to get both the Nautilus and the Ezreal, but the Nautilus does go down to Bobby Joe. The Ezreal ult does not get anything, but I'm sure they would have liked to get that kill onto the Ezreal as well as that shutdown. And the Graves very well almost dies to the Ezreal there, which would have been disastrous. Fortunately, that doesn't happen. The Orianna ult goes down to try to get the Camille. Scott manages to E away, say to safety. Not a long cooldown on that Orianna ult at this point, so it's worth to throw it out to have the chance of getting the pick.
Unfortunately, Senna's Muramana has not transformed yet, whereas the Ezreal has his transform for a couple minutes now, so item advantage in the favor of Mines Esports. We'll see how much of a role that plays in the next team fight.
It is much easier for Ezreal to stack that Muramana than it is for the Senna to do so. That's why you see some Sennas choose not to itemize it at all.
Very much so.
Probably would prefer to see the Black Cleaver on the Senna at this point rather than the full lethality Ghost Blade. Oh, and Wind Chill is caught out by the Nautilus Q and the Nautilus ultimate. The Senna ultimate comes out too late. Looks like Syndra is caught out here as well, and the double kill goes over to the Ezreal. The Camille goes in to try to get the kill on the Orianna. Puts down the ultimate, but ultimately the Shen ult comes down to protect the Orianna. Scott E's away. Looks like the Shen is continuing to chase. The Nautilus is there. The Q lands. The Shen gets the taunt and gets the kill onto Scott's Camille. And the rest of Mines Esports goes to Baron.
A disastrous couple of seconds there for Pepperdine Esports. And poor pathing in the mid lane leads to 2 picks. Scott tries to make something happen in the top side in exchange, but the Shen ult just ensures you're never going to get a fair 1v1. And we see 3 kills and a Baron go over to Mines Esports. This game is getting out of control quickly. Baron and a 4K gold lead for Mines Esports.
Yeah, you've got to wonder what's going on in the minds of the Pepperdine Esports players at this point, because it just seems like Wednesday night is not their night.
Unfortunately, I think you might be right, Ramsey. Drake coming up here in a moment. We see Mines Esports getting into the red side jungle of Pepperdine, trying to put down that vision control to make sure that they're ready and prepared for the objective.
It looks like Pepperdine is fine giving over this Drake. I don't know if they have any vision to know that's being happening. The Syndra just sort of stood
shopping? Was Santo disconnected or just caught shopping there in the mid lane?
But he wasn't recalling.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Just perhaps hovering vision elsewhere.
Yeah, perhaps. You hope not typing in chat. And that kill is going to lead directly into the mid inhibitor going down.
This game is quickly falling apart for Pepperdine. Mines Esports sieging down here on the bot side now.
The Camille is trying to provide some pressure up in the top lane, but can't really with this Shen. 5 deaths on Scott's Camille.
Well, we were looking for Scott to have, you know, a good game on a carry champion. Unfortunately, it just hasn't been the case.
Not entirely his fault, though. It seems like all of Pepperdine really isn't playing well together at this point. The Leona ult completely misses and hits nothing.
Did get the Teemo flash out though, so they're exchanged for a strong summoner spell there on the side of Teemo. No objectives up on the map currently. This should give some breathing room for Pepperdine to just collect this farm down here in the bot lane as long as they can protect their tower.
It looks like Mines is pulling away from this slow siege, but the top lane wave is pushed all the way to the top tower there, the tier 2. Shen is kind of hovering, perhaps to see if anyone comes to cover it.
Yeah, this Shen with the Sunfire Cape and the Titanic Hydra is just able to push the Camille in, despite Camille having a Ravenous and a Trinity Force, so...
About now is where I'm sure Pepperdine is really wishing that their Senna had a Black Cleaver.
Yeah, a lot of armor stacked on the side of Mines Esports. And no armor penetration picked up thus far.
We'll see. We have another 2 minutes on this Cloud Drake, which Pepperdine does not want to give the Cloud Soul over to Mines Esports. It doesn't even matter what the Cloud Soul does at this point. They just do not want to give another Drake over.
Yeah, it's going to be crucial for Pepperdine to contest this next Drake. Not the most amazing soul for Mines Esports, but that Shen, I mean, ulting in and then having a little bit of a speed boost to taunt somebody, it will be impactful.
Yeah, the vision is just dominant on the side of Mines right now in that bot side. You see a little bit of a trade going on between the Camille and Shen right here, but Camille does not want to take an extended trade with the Shen at this point.
You know, I really want to highlight that point you made, Ramsey. Vision control on the side of Mines Esports, phenomenal.
But you have to imagine, we've seen so far that vision is a bit of a problem area for Pepperdine Esports. Certainly, the vision scores are not a great way to tell because they're about even, but overall, Pepperdine just seems way more in the dark than their counterparts.
Yeah, a lot of wards cleared on the side of Pepperdine, but impactful ward positioning and timing from Mines Esports, I think, is kind of the crux to that. They're getting their vision down before objectives and then playing around it, as opposed to Pepperdine, who's forced to check into vision and try to place their vision while Mines already has vision down, and so they're just having to... They're playing into the hands of Mines as opposed to playing their own game.
Yeah, Scott over here in the top side, taking the top side jungle. Hops in on the Orianna and the Nautilus, but the team is there to back him up if he can survive. It does look like Pepperdine has the upper hand in this fight. Scott does get the kill onto the Nautilus, flashes away. Leona is a bit caught out here, but ultimately the slow comes out from the Orianna, but the kill goes over to the Teemo. Pepperdine was originally in a good position in that fight, catching out those members, but
a 1-for-1 trade on the side of Pepperdine. It's a win. It's a small win, but it's a win. It stops any Baron potential for the moment, though the Teemo is heading towards Dragon. It looks like they'll pick up this soul uncontested.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about because Pepperdine had those minions coming in, and you kind of need all hands on deck if you want to prevent this soul from going over to Mines. And at this point, it's not looking good for Pepperdine Esports.
Yeah, Pepperdine needs to play safe and secure, weather the storm for now, and then really hope they can win a team fight around an Elder Dragon or a Baron. They can still win this game. Both of those buffs are super impactful in the late game, but it's going to require them to play very safe, not get caught out, and find a way to secure one of those objectives.
Play safe, not get caught out, Okay, I think Pepperdine completely forgot to add those two things to their list of objectives for today.
They were not present on the checklist. We see Mines hovering the top side, perhaps considering starting Baron. The Graves is on the bottom side, so not in a position to contest just yet.
While they were clearing out a lot of that bot side vision, now that the pressure is top side, it doesn't really matter as much.
It looks like they're gonna start up the Baron. Pepperdine doesn't seem to have any idea this is happening.
There is no vision around the Baron pit for Pepperdine. In fact, Graves is recalling at this point.
So uncontested Baron goes over to the side of Colorado School Mines. Once again, just a lack of vision priority. Perhaps in this case, you know, not wanting to overextend into the top side and risk getting caught out to put down vision. But Mines Esports just playing it cool, calm, and collected. They place their vision. They push out the lanes, they rotate the objective, they take the objective, they get right back into the lanes and start to siege. Very well played, very methodical.
You do see that now the Graves has those armor penetration item, but it might be too little too late.
We see the mirror mana
trying to
transform
protect that bot side inhibitor, that mid inhibitor will go down. It looks like this bot lane inhibitor will as well. Orianna does get stunned, but there is no one to follow up on it without risking having to take the full brunt of Mines Esports to the face.
Mines rotating to the top side. She's going to try to pressure down that last remaining outer turret, perhaps, as they let their other two lanes push with super minions.
There is not a lot Pepperdine can do, it seems, to really come back into this game. Coddy, if they were to come back, what would they need to do?
They'd need to find probably a mistake on the side of Mines, perhaps the Ezreal or the Orianna caught out, and then secure a major objective off of that pick. But at this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if Mines could take a 4v5 after a pick on, say, the Orianna. So
yeah, that tower goes down. It looks like they're giving the inhibitor as well. Pepperdine needs to put up some sort of fight, or else Mines Esports will be able to just kind of slow roll their way to the Nexus.
yeah, you're absolutely right, Ramsey. And I don't know if they have the ability to defend. With Baron buff and triple inhibs down, this might just be the push for the win. Pepperdine going for their last fight here.
Yeah, Scott's Camille goes in. Ultimately, the CC is just too much. Scott does Zonia's, but will ultimately die here to the Orianna in the backside. There are so many minions around. The Leona goes in, tries to get the kill, does get the kill onto the Teemo. The Orianna is so low, but so is the rest of Pepperdine, heading back into their fountain to try to stay alive. The Ezreal very nearly gets the kill on Windchill, but fortunately, the shutdown goes over to the Senna. They do manage to take the kills, but the Nexus does fall. And that is it. Pepperdine goes down and is defeated 2-0 by the Colorado School of Mines.
Yeah, and it just didn't feel like Pepperdine's night tonight. Really well played on the side of Mines Esports. They played each game slow and methodical. They didn't take risks. They played around their win conditions. They played great vision control, and they were the better team on the night, unfortunately. And I have to give them credit. They took the level 1 shenanigans, if you will, out of the playbook of UCLA with a great early invade, into the Pepperdine red side, dropped vision, and then rotated everyone back up to the top side to catch the Graves trying to split the map. Very clever on the side of Mines Esports to give their team a little breathing room in the early game. And, I've got to ask, where was the Teemo ban? You give a jungler comfort and they're going to play better. So,
Yeah, it's one of those things where if someone one tricks a champion, even if that champion is not the strongest in competitive play, when you're at the collegiate level where everyone is in, at least amongst most schools, amongst like low diamond, these are just scrappy players who can kind of make anything work. You're not at the like highest tier of play, right? So if you're going to take someone who plays just one champion and knows that champion, has been shown to be able to itemize that champion for any situation, at this level of play, it's worth taking that comfort away because you're not playing against someone who's like the highest level of challenger that can then just pick another champion out of their back pocket and play it to that level. So basically, you're taking this champion that managed to be, Diamond 3 or something playing Teemo jungle, and you're giving that to them for free.
Yeah, Pepperdine adapted well. They banned the Morgana. They banned the Malphite. But I have to say, the Nautilus was great. It didn't feel like the Morgana ban bought them anything in that game. The Nautilus filled the same role, had point-and-click CC, had big tanky body to get himself in front of the Ezreal. I feel like a Teemo ban instead of a Morgana ban really shores up Pepperdine's chances in that game. But once again, credit where credit is due. Fantastic vision control on the side of Mines Esports. Very methodical play. They checked every box. They pushed up into the jungle as a unit. They placed a vision. They backed out. They forced Pepperdine to check them. They got a pick. They took the objective every time, like Rote. So
great roams on behalf of their support, as well as the Teemo and the support, moving around oftentimes as a unit to take things instead of 2v1 as like a 3v1, right? To just really secure it, not taking any risks, and just making sure that they can weather out the game. And overall, I just think we saw better team play from Mines Esports today, both on the side of just making sure their team gets a better draft, making sure that they're one trick gets his comfort pick, but also just generally moving well together, having like you said, that vision control, and just in general being more of a team. I don't really think we saw that from Pepperdine today. We know that they're capable of it. It just seemed to not really be their night. It seemed like they just kind of weren't clicking or something. Maybe it's the fact that they haven't gotten to practice since their game on Saturdays, so that could potentially be it. This collegiate circuit tends to be pretty breakneck pace, so a learning experience though that Pepperdine can take into their next games.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot to be learned from the VOD review in this series. I think we do have to recognize that these are college students. They are full-time students. They don't always have the ability to dedicate practice time, so not the end of the road for Pepperdine. I think a lot of good strides can come from them. I think really working on vision control is going to be a crucial piece for them to practice around, and then just shoring up some of those little mistakes. Pathing around the mid lane. You don't need to walk through that bridge area between the Raptor pit and the parallel bush, and Santo getting caught out kind of just standing in the mid lane. These little errors that kind of add up over the course of the game. So we'll see. Hopefully the next time we see the Pepperdine on the Rift, they'll have shored up some of those weaknesses and we'll get a W.
Yes, definitely. And, just to kind of close out our stream with a couple of announcements, if you want to know about the next time we're going to go live, either streaming League of Legends or our Valorant team or our Smash team, anything like that, make sure to follow us on social media at Pep Esports, spelled P-E-P-P Esports, on Twitter and Instagram. We always make announcements as to when we're going to go live. And if you're just catching the tail end of this stream and you're interested in what happened in the previous match, you can actually see this game on the Campus Recreation YouTube channel tomorrow. We will be uploading it there. And, as a final little message, I want to say GG to the Colorado School of Mines. Thanks for the games, and, we'll get you next time.
There's always a next time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to our friends over at Colorado Mines. Glad to have you guys here at the stream, and good luck next time.
All right. Bye, everyone.